welcome back. A spectacular piece of brutalist architecture. Looks like it was accidentally a whole load of seaborne containers that just were dropped here. So, what have we had today? It's been fireworks, particularly amongst the sprinters. Intermediate sprint points up for grabs, and indeed a green jersey as well. And so, sailing through came Andre Greipel, tight in on the hoardings, and said, thank you very much. Peter Sagan says, what do you mean, thank you very much? You're going to have to fight hard now if you want this green jersey at the end of the day. Mark Cavendish as well, just still underneath the 200 marker. A competition led now by Greipel by just 1 point, but there are more points up for grabs at the end of the day. King of the Mountains points have been apportioned as well. Just going through the day, the heat has been the main player, but also this, ouch, big hit for Jean-Christophe Perrault from AG Tour La Mondiale. He's bandaged, he's bruised, he's bloodied, but he's unbowed, and he's back in. He's tagged on to the back. Right now, the gap is 3 minutes. In fact, I'm just double checking. Here we are. The gap right now is not 3 minutes. It's 2 minutes and 38. Hence my surprise. Tinkoff Saxo still pushing on. This is for Sagan. Sagan is up for it. He's livid. He's going to carry his adrenaline and maybe use it effectively. You can see dead centre of the road there. We have Movistar. And what is nice to see as well is Orica Greenedge getting busy. Will it be the Yateses? If it is, it will be Adam Yates, I suspect. But is Michael Matthews back and on good form? I think he might just be. And if he is, that is very good news for Aussie viewers. And it's very good news for the race as well. We always like to see Bling doing his thing. Big broad smile that he is. He carries a lot of jewellery with him, but not onto the road. John, talking about smiles, we have our the name of the lady who often smiles and tells the time gap by the use dexterously of a chalkboard.
That's right, it's Time Gap Claire. Claire Pedrono is her name, and she hails from Brittany. She once rode on the La Grande Boucle, the women's race, and back in 2005, and now she finds herself doing what, as you correctly described, is one of the most important jobs on the tour.
Yes, indeed. Time Gap Claire. In fact, how did she get the job? She basically wrote and said, can I do that job? And they said, yeah, thanks for asking.
I'm joined by Stephen de Jong from the Tinkoff Saxo team. Stephen, how difficult was the decision to chase this breakaway with both Sagan and Contador on the team?
Well, I think before the start we knew it was a good stage for Peter, so the decision was not that hard.
A lot of focus now on the green jersey with Peter as well.
Well, I think the key for the green jersey is in the next coming 4 stages, so that's where we try to get a nice gap of points.
And it's always good for Alberto staying at the front after the dramatic moments we just saw recently.
Well, yeah, sure. It's also important to stay in front in these stages and yeah, don't get caught in a crash.
There we are. Well, wise words, don't get yourself caught in a crash, but will these guys get caught? That's the question. With 33.7 to go, they've still got 2.5 minutes, Sean. When's 2.5 minutes going to be enough?
Well, they need to get to the 20 kilometres mark with at least 2.5 minutes. If it comes down from that, well, then I think it's going to be a very, very difficult one for them. We can see here the peloton, you know, there's a lot of movement in the peloton still. Tinkoff Saxo pushing on here, and I'm afraid for the breakaway with 33 kilometres with the run-in we have here, a very difficult one. Warm conditions as well. It'll be natural that the 6 riders up front are going to get tired. Even though there's a lot of very strong riders here in the breakaway, you know, real powerful ones, they're still going to start, I think, seeing the weaker ones here. Some of them start getting into difficulty when they really start to go at 100%.
We're hearing that you're not hearing us very well at home, and we apologise for that. Apparently, it is to do with the heat that is rising here, and it's causing all kinds of problems with the microwave link. Are you hearing us okay, John, yourself, as you're back in Paris, as we're beaming to you first?
I am hearing you loud and clear. Very, very clear line to me.
All right, well, it may well be just our link with production. And those of you at home, if somebody wouldn't mind tweeting me and just saying loud and clear, or Dalek, or whatever it is that you're hearing, then we'll hear it, we'll get it firsthand. Here we are. The aforementioned Lamprey Merida. Is it possibly going to be the day when the pip squeaks? That's Pippo Pozzato. I put too many P's in there. Nice to see Orica Greenedge as well, Sean, joining the fun. That suggests that Matthews may well be up for it.
Yes, well, it's the first time we've seen Orica just coming to the front here, but it tells us that they have interest as well. And you know, when you look at Orica Greenedge, the team, you know, hugely unlucky in this tour, losing Simon Gerrans in stage 3. Albacini also, who's a rider with this sort of finish, he went out on stage 5. Then Dal Limpy, of course, also out of the race. So there's, you know, there's 3 riders down, and that is going to make it difficult. But it's good to see. It just tells us that Michael Matthews is feeling better, and after what he's been through, because he's had some horrible days after the crash there, he's suffered and battled through. And if he can just have a go for this stage, well, it will be good for today and for the days to come.
You can see the grimaces, and they're starting to look a little bit jaded, the guys who are in the break. I'm not surprised. It's been a long day in the heat, Sean. All credit to them, even if they do get caught.
Yes, well, I think you know, to get into the break today wasn't too difficult. A lot of riders not really, you know, trying, because they were always talking about this, you know, a transition stage, a stage for the sprinters, and I think a lot of the riders were saying, well, go into the break today, you know, a huge effort, and then the sprinters teams are going to control you out there all day, and you're going to pay for that in the days to come. But chapeau, they went out there, the 6 riders, and they have given it a good run. Maybe now, you know, they can turn it on at 20 kilometers to go and try and hold on, but again, 2:10 is just dropping off all the time.
It is, inexorably it seems. Thanks to everyone who's told us that you're hearing us loud and clear. The lovely Debbie Hill, friend of this program, friend of this channel, down in Oz, says that everything is okay, and everything far from okay with Andre Greipel.
Yes, it looks like that he is in difficulty, or is he just going back to the car? Doesn't look like that. I think we've seen it already in the previous climb where he was in difficulty, and again here starting to suffer. And yeah, the Pyrenees stages for a sprinter, when you have to do 3 big days in the Pyrenees and you come out of it and you have a day like today, a lumpy stage, Greipel is starting to suffer here.
Multiple wear of the green jersey during this Tour de France, and 2 stage wins for Andre Greipel. I think even if it stopped now, that would be as a majorly successful Tour de France. He, of course, now is hungry for more and would like to, of course, take on the Champs-Élysées and maybe win what is regarded widely, globally, as the Sprinters World Championship, albeit, of course, the last stage of the Tour de France. 31.9 kilometers to go, 2 minutes and 7. Just starting to look like they're labouring ever so slightly, and Pierre-Luc Perichon of Breton Sèche Environmental at the back here is not looking overly delighted with life. Nathan Haas out of the saddle, bouncing for Cannondale Garmin. There's the local man from Francis de Jeux, just behind Thomas de Ghent in the red, who's been quite busy taking intermediate sprints and the biggest climb of the day. Geniez himself, the local man, Alexander Geniez, there in the white, blue, red, white, blue, blanc et rouge, indeed, of Francis de Jeux, having taken one of the intermediate climbs as well. And indeed, this is the last of the categorized climbs today, and it looks like any desire for a skirmish has been left some way behind on this road today, of which it's a long one, 198.5, and nice little beat on delivery there, as you see. Job done. And it's nice to see fans here, albeit brought to the point of exhaustion, it seems, by the heat of the day. But lucky lad, he's in the shade. Wilco Kelderman took the only point available on that Category 4 climb. And so they've got a little bit of a, let's discuss the terrain, shall we? They're going into a couple of bowls, so they'll dip down into one. You won't really notice too much about it. As Christophe Riblon going backwards. They will just take a little gentle roller coaster ride until about 14 kilometers to go. At 14 kilometers from home, that's when the day will be very, very high speed, I imagine. And we're going to get a proper junction now of the time gap between the peloton and those up the road. And there's a man who really is suffering, and even the gauze is not holding all of the crimson stuff, I'm afraid, for Jean-Christophe Perrault, who's taken a big hit today. He's been back to the medical car 3 times now, and dressings have been changed, and he's fighting to stay in touch with this race, Sean. He's a vital component within AG2R Le Mondial, even as a hurt rider.
Well, you would expect him to be, but in this tour he hasn't been a great advantage to the team. I don't think he hasn't been doing much at the beginning of this tour. He was the man finishing second last year on the podium to Nibali. There was big hopes from that he would do another place in general classification. I was always concerned to repeat a podium place would be difficult, but I did think, a top 10, but he is a long ways off that form, as there's many other riders, and he's just back in the bunch, and that is something he needed to do, because he was, a minute and 40 or something down there after his crash, to get back in the peloton here and stay in for as long as possible, and possibly in the end he will go out with some riders and that will be dropping off. But he saved the day. Get through and see what the results show up, what the exams show up if he's wins. But another day through, and that's what the riders are doing who are really suffering. Just tick off the days as they go.
Welcome back. Andrew Court says loud and clear in Hong Kong. We've got people in Brunei, the United States. We're going global. There's been a few complaints as well. Cliff Davies thinks we're speaking too much French. We're in France, Cliff. So just calm. 27 kilometres to go. I don't know. People want it all here. Some of you like a bit more French, a bit more pace, perhaps. Well, have some then. And here come Katusha. This is for Christophe, I'll be bound, and he's got a great chance today. Out front, it is Orica Greenedge, as you can see, on the nose of the chasing pack, minute 50, and the break's starting to look doomed, Sean.
Yes, it's not looking good. 150 at the moment, and coming down all the time, and as we can see there, the 6th breakaway, they start to be suffering the pulling faces a bit, and it's not surprising. And the peloton, just more teams starting to appear on the front of affairs, and that's not looking good for our break of the day.
No, it's not. We'll see how they go. Jenny is still up there, and here he is on the nose. Is he going to be minded to skip off? We'll see. For the time being, it must be tiring for them, especially at the temperature that we've had. Even though the man from France just wipes his nose at the moment, almost, you can see almost, well, very nervous, I imagine, on this approach. He's 26.1 kilometres from going home, essentially, and the gap is at 1 minute and 43. I just think that the breakaway might well actually reduce before it's finally caught, which looks inevitable at the moment, especially the amount of firepower that is on the chase down. And Pippo, but Zato is at least showing his hand. I wonder if he'll show his nose at the line. We'll see. He's in there. He's about 20th down at the moment, but it's in a pretty good position, not that far from Alejandro Valverde, who's a proper wheel to follow on a day like this. 25.7 kilometres then. Not a great time to have any kind of issue, and the hand goes up, Sean, which always spells danger. It's Andrew Talansky who's asking for something.
Well, it's probably for the team car. Again, just stock up on fresh bottles with 25k to go. We're coming to that 20k for the finish, where it normally stops again. They might, leave it go on a bit further today with the warm conditions. They have done that in this tour already. In the beginning of stages where normally it's 50, they have reduced on a number of days. After 30 kilometres, you can start taking bottles from the car. But to be sure, the riders, they're just going back and stock up before it's too late.
Nice bottle of Saint-Julien. Nothing to do with that church, I be bound, John.
It's nothing to do with that church, you're quite right. This church is from 1471, and the belfry was built onto the church back then, and it's been added to over the years, and was part of the bishopric of Rodez for many years. It has a beautiful stained glass window, which unfortunately we couldn't see there, which has a symbol of the 12 tribes of Israel in it.
All 12?
All 12.
Big window. Maybe there were little tribes. Here we are then. all 6 of our breakaway riders have remained intact, and they've actually shared duty. Nobody leaning on anybody else, Sean. It's been equally shared, the burden, I think it's fair to say, today.
Yes, well, they have been working extremely well together. All 6 are, working good, and that always helps, because if you have one guy who starts to weak, he wants to stay on the rear, try and hang on as long as possible, and that upsets the rest. Everybody gets nervous with that, because you never know, is he just playing the bluff and waiting for the end to see can he go in and attack. So the longer the 6 can work together, but again, when they have to start upping it, and Thomas again I think is the one who will start pushing on a bit, but 1:33 at the moment, still with 24 k's to go. It's just going one way at the moment. That's down the way with the time advantage.
South African champion just at the back, Jacques Janssen van Rensburg. They do have an option, MTN Quebec, and we had the lovely Douglas Ryder, team principal of MTN, in the commentary position earlier on. Getting ready to celebrate Mandela Day tomorrow, so they'll certainly be up for it tomorrow. They were up for it yesterday, of course, with Louis Mainkeys. Finished top 5, which is a fantastic result for them. In fact, Serge Powers the previous day finished 4th, so they're there or thereabouts. Will it be Eddie Boss today, Edvald Bosenhagen? Not quite sure. I don't think Eddie is overly fond of hot temperatures. I guess we'll see. Right now, here we go. This is the first hit out from the breakaway, thinking it is just getting too close, and it's a brave move, Sean.
Well, I don't know if we call it brave. To go at this time, it's going to really... The chances for everybody here on the 6-man breakaway, it's not the time to do it when it's coming down like that. You just keep on working, and if you're feeling good, you just keep on contributing, maybe a little bit extra at times, try and get closer to the finish and then have a go. But with this distance, to trip off on your own, it's not going to happen for Nathan Haas.
There we are. The Aussie's decided that he doesn't want to share this with any other Aussie, and there's a great possibility, of course, that Michael Matthews, Bling himself, is behind, and maybe that's extra added incentive. Who knows? The gap was coming down rather quickly, and he's just gone off here. Can he possibly hold on to this pace? It will be a long-range piece of glory if he manages to do it. Did take the Tour of Britain 3 years ago, we remind you. And can he just add to his impressive palmares again today? We'll see. 23.1 kilometres to go. It's a massively tall order, especially with a charging pack. And these guys, no response just yet. In fact, as we say it, suddenly we get one, and it's Cyril Gauthier that's decided to give chase. That'd be a handy pairing if they went for it, Sean, but you feel that their energy levels would be extraordinarily depleted after such a long day in this kind of heat, and still with just over 22 kilometres to go.
Well, they will be, and when you have a 6-man group and they're still working well together, 1:30 of an advantage, you just continue on riding with everybody else. That would be, if I was the rider, if I was the team director, that would be my orders. I'd say just contribute with the rest, continue on working, and we will see, because in this final there's another bit of a hill to come, and of course the finish as well. If you're feeling good, you have a great chance in this finish. You don't have to be maybe the fastest, it's the strongest, the fittest will survive. But if you attack the 6-man group, well then to stay ahead of a big chasing peloton, it's always going to be more difficult.
Well, the winking wheat field bidding us farewell right now, and these guys, well, they're burying themselves. Look at Sagan. A few moments ago, he tore off a gel wrapper or whatever it was he was feeding himself, and he did it in such an aggressive fashion. It was just like he wanted those calories to bang in, and the attempt to bridge from the breakaway by Gauthier was very quickly nullified because of the pace that was picked up by the fellow breakaway riders. But it looks like the cadence that Nathan Haas is putting into the road right now, well, it's certainly impressive, but is it wise?
Very impressive, and he is going to a real fast rate, because we can see the other 5 are chasing at a very strong rate as well. And we could see there that Gauthier, when Nathan Haas went in the attack, he just gave the signal that just continue on riding, guys, we keep on working as we have been all along, and just peg him back. And now we can see that the advantages, he has a nice advantage, but to keep it going on your own, that is always going to be the difficult one against 5 riders at the end of such stage, a very energy sapping stage.
It's interesting, Gautier just saying, come on, get on my back wheel. I feel like I've got a little bit of power here, and it's he that wants to maintain the chase, doesn't want to do it on his own, and they're starting to work together. And Gautier is the man that is cracking the whip hand here. He's essentially the road captain of this little tiny team time trialling team, albeit of different teams, and any alliance they form will be ripped up later on. We're under the 20 kilometres to go marker, and 1:44. Haas has found some great pace, and he's extended the gap on the peloton. But what about the gap to these guys? There he is up the road. They're working well, Sean, and in fact they're bridging over, and what it's meant is that we've suddenly had an injection of pace and a revitalised breakaway.
Yes, and we can see here that Nathan Haas is extremely strong for the moment. Can he keep that going for the next 19 kilometres and hold off the 5 chasers and hold off the main peloton as well? It's looking a little bit better for the peloton. 1:44 as we go inside the 20 kilometres to go. That is that's a good advantage. And if you work out the calculation, which we do, a minute per 10 kilometres, it's within that. Although this final is probably a one where you need a bit more, but we'll have to wait and see. Now the next 2-3 kilometres are going to be important for the 5 chasers. Will they be able to pull him back, or will he hold them off on his own?
Well, they can't shirk their responsibility, and it looks like he's knocked it back just a little bit. I think his own team, you can see him looking across the cut of the road, Sean. It does curve around the road. It does swerve around the bottom of this little basin that we're in at the moment, and so he had a good look back over his shoulder. He saw the pursuers, and I think he possibly knows the game is up, but it's been effective because now he can rest up and maybe go again. He's injected pace into this group. Maybe they've got a bit more belief as well. 1:46. The gap has just extended a little bit again back to the yellow jersey.
Well, I don't think he's going to be too popular with the other 5 attacking like this so far out, when the advantage that they have is going to be a difficult one to hold off. If you have 8 or 9 minutes here, well then it's open for all. You can go in the attack, but the understanding between the 6 riders, they would be talking together. Okay, we'll keep on working together, and we'll see what the advantage is with inside the 10 kilometres to go. We will see now what will happen, and will he still contribute? He has to contribute the working here on the front if he's right.